So we are going to move on to Brian Carter. Mr. Brian Carter is going to talk to you about multi-set orders. Brian is at 1.6 million in personal sales and 12.6 million in office sales. He's very proud to have been a rep manager who has run both Standard and Rolex, by the way, in the same year as both rep and manager, which is really exciting. 2021 highlights: 350K in personal sales. His district won the Silver Cup. His events team, TGP, was the #1 events team in the nation with 3.8 million in sales, event sales for the year. Brian himself did 10 consecutive weeks over 10K, 6 weeks over 20K, 3 weeks over 30K, and 1 week over 40K, which is really exciting. He's also he's really good at rapport and says that he's not actually naturally great at anything other than rapport, but what he is great at is being humble enough to be able to ask other people for the goods and then learning it and then implementing it and then making his stuff even better, which is really awesome. So he's had more multi-set orders than anyone else on the TGP team over the last 2 years. And he loves, of course, spending time with his wife, Miriam, and his kids. Here's what I love the most. He says buying a nice vinyl album and then just drinking whiskey while he and Miriam listen to it, which I think tickles me a little bit because Brian's degree was in music technology. And there's probably people out there too young to even know what it means when you say I'm buying a vinyl and listening to it, which is awesome in the music business. So, and if Brian could have been, he says, if he could have been even a janitor on the set of the Blues Brothers, he would have done that just to be around those guys and listen to what they had to say. So we're going to let Brian take it away.
I love it. Well, thank you so much. Can you guys hear me okay? Can you give me the thumbs up, Amy? Perfect. I love it. Well, guys, first off, I just want to say it's so cool to get a chance to talk to this group. You know, the Hall of Fame Breakout, I think, is one of the best things just to that we've ever done with the NET meeting, just to get the best people together. I'm so excited for NET. I had to wear my NET 2020 shirt. I thought about just like drawing a big extra 2 on there. Made me feel all special, but here we are. So oftentimes, you know, I want to make sure that I lead with this. I'm coming to this team and this table with a lot of humility. I'm sure there's other people that if you guys were to do a wish list of who you could hear from today, I probably am not the top 3 for some people, and that's okay. But I just want to make sure that you guys understand how much respect I have for this community, how much I appreciate being a part of it, how grateful I am that I get to work with CSPs. Like, that's one of the proudest things that I do, is getting a chance to work with TGP events team, getting a chance to work with our guests, with all the extended family, with everyone nationally. But at the same time, I don't want you guys to think for a second that I will waste your time. I promise you, we won't do that. That's for sure. So in my case, I do mostly sell in the fall and a little bit in the spring. I sold $250,000 this last fall. So far, I've worked 6 days in January, and I've sold about 40K. Those are obviously some good events, but just the same, I say that not to make myself feel good. Reality is I always feel good, but I just want to make sure you guys understand that they're allowing me to speak because I really felt like I had some stuff that I was pretty excited and pretty passionate to bring. So that being said, we're going to talk today about multi-set orders. And I had a chance to talk on a national call here about a year ago about family program. And there's really no way to separate family program from multi-set orders. The two things are pretty entwined because family program is the single best framing device we have to tee up multi-set orders. Like, family program is to multi-set orders what like that business gift display and Rob's like quality questions and, you know, Curtis's just top of mind awareness is to selling business gifts. That's what family program is for multi-set orders. But I got a hot take for you. Okay, this is like my hot take. I am personally of the opinion that there is more CPO out there for us to capture with multi-set orders than there are with almost any other program. Okay, that's not to talk down about anything else. Business gifts are the great equalizer because, you know, when you get one person that could buy like 50 homemakers, I don't even know what to tell you about that. But look, I got news for you. Keiko kitchens are wild, and we should always continue working our game. I love watching people like Seth and Bert and Josh and Chelsea that are just technicians, and they can sell those kitchens. It's an incredible thing to see. But I honestly am of the opinion that there are a hell of a lot more people out there that are willing to buy for themselves and spend too much money on their kids. My kids are tiny and I spend way too much money on them. Then they're necessarily customers that are going to get that perfect confluence where they're prepared and willing to spend on flatware, cookware, their knife set, and everything else, especially all at once. So yes, we're always going to build it up and complete it, but I am personally of the opinion that multi-set orders are one of the single biggest areas of opportunity for most of our teams and most of our businesses when it comes to working with customers, particularly in the booth, but definitely not exclusively. So when it comes down to it, I just want to challenge everyone and say, what is your mentality on multi-set orders? You know, what are your fundamental beliefs about the family program? Are you surprised when you get them? Okay, because if so, then that means it's something that you're not really expecting to happen. You know, I'm not surprised by 10K days at this point. There was a time I was, but I'm at a point in my business now where I know, look, if the vibe is right and I'm on my stuff, it'll happen. Me and Calvin worked a show together this last weekend, and for the first 4 hours of the show, we were at $0 in sales, okay? But we finished the day at about $25,000 between us because the show was right, the vibe was right, and we were on our stuff. We're not surprised by having that kind of success, and I am not surprised by getting multi-set orders either at this point because it happens frequently enough. If the customer's right, if the vibe is right, and I'm on my stuff, it can happen, and it can happen super often. So I want to challenge us all to really embrace a mentality that normalizes multi-set orders. So I've got a couple things I'd like to share here just as far as slides. I'll try and go through this pretty quick. Like I said, some of this is definitely going to be a bit of review, but hey, that's all right. They gave me the time and we're going to spend it. This is a fundamental belief I have. I talk about this to CSPs. I talk about this to new reps. This is nothing earth-shattering for this crowd here, that's for sure. But I think the big gap for customers is making a purchasing decision. And I think that like we sort of know that top of mind, but I think like intrinsically we need to internalize that a little bit more. The big thing for a customer to decide is, am I going to whip out my credit card and buy knives today? Okay, because as your skill increases, as your confidence increases, as your knowledge and expectations on program increase, the whole door is open. These are all fundamentals of upselling. But I think for me, the big gap is getting a customer to making a decision on buying a set. The smaller gap, like almost the impulse buy with the right customer and the right approaches, is what can we get them to add on to that? And I just think this is a little psychology of sales that it's really easy to kind of underestimate the impact that has, because once you sort of get that, man, the sky's the limit. I'm not the best CSP on our team. I'm not even close. I would never insult the TGP team. They know me. They know my game. But I'm good. I am good. And I will tell you, my average order, Chelsea has the highest on our team. This shouldn't surprise anyone. But I'm actually number 2 here over the last 2 years. And that's something I take a lot of pride in. But I think that the reason why I've had that success that I have enjoyed is not because I'm great at closing gifts like her or business gifts like Steve-O. It's just a little bit of everything. But man, if you take out my multi-set orders, I am, below average. I'll just tell you that. I am absolutely below average because it's been such a game changer for me. It's been such a rocking thing. So that being said, okay, let's kind of dive into this. My philosophy, if you're a note taker, is this: don't let what people could buy interfere with what they're willing to buy. Okay? Don't let what people could buy interfere with what they're willing to buy. A lot of people could buy Cutco kitchens. A lot of time you have a successful business owner and you pitch business gifts and they could. And by the way, if you do follow up like Rob Robinchuk teaches you, you'll probably convert those orders, but they're not necessarily always willing to do it on the spot. But I will tell you, a lot of those same people will spend the same amount on a multi-set order between them and between their families. I was working Dallas Safari Club earlier in January, and I had a customer that bought an ultimate set. Okay. And by the way, it was an ultimate set with 2 gadgets for free. I am very much a value seller. Thank you, Seth Kinzer, for bringing that to our team 3-4 years ago. Okay. Like, I sell full price, but I'm not afraid to use discounts strategically. Okay. And that's for sure. And so this was a couple that clearly could have bought a Cutco kitchen if they wanted, but just the interest wasn't there, and you can't always create that. So instead we pivoted. I asked a few key questions we're about to go into and introduced the concept of Cutco for gifts, of multi-set order, and particularly a family program. By the way, like Curtis, you're such a G, man. Like, this family program is the most beautiful framing ever. But anyway, in this case, they weren't comfortable spending the extra to get flatware or cookware. They were comfortable, however, adding on 3 more homemaker sets for their kids. So, at the end of the day, sure, I discounted them, and sure, a Cutco kitchen is sexier and it's cooler when you tell people you sold it. But guys, I take my $7,000 orders however they come. I don't care if they're business gifts. I don't care if they're in cutting boards. It doesn't matter to me because Brian has a mortgage to pay, and I just want to hook some customers up with some knives. So don't let what people could buy interfere with what they are willing and prepared to buy. It's so easy for us to get this myopic focus on the programs we're most comfortable with instead of really considering it from a customer's perspective. Who are they more likely to spend a lot of money on? And a lot of times the answer is going to be other people in their life that are particularly important to them. There's a reason you're getting the results that you are. And I just want to make sure that we kind of don't let ourselves off the hook, that we're willing to self-assess. This can't be a thing where it's like, hey, I sold 3 showstoppers one time, so therefore I'm good at this. No, it has to be a consistent thing that is something we're constantly sort of building our programs around, where attention goes, energy flows. If you don't give family program a lot of attention, there won't be a lot of energy, there won't be a lot of heat, and that's going to show in your results. That's for sure. So a couple simple, easy things. The brochure, make sure you have it. Okay, we'll kind of talk about this in a second, but the family program brochure is money, money, money. By the way, I watched Kelly Kinzer because Kelly Kinzer is one of the most talented salespeople I've ever worked with. I watched her in the booth when a customer was looking at multiple sets. She pulled out the business gift pricing and was like, hey, when you buy multiple sets in the luxury gift section where it had the block sets, she used that to position family program because it already had the prices on there. She showed them the family program brochure, and then she whipped that out when they were looking at a few different sets. And my mind exploded in the back of the booth. And I thought I was good at this stuff. And she's just whipping that out. So then all of a sudden the customer's like, oh man, if I bought 10, it would be at this discount. Wow, I don't know if I can afford 10. She's like, look, I guess we could probably find some kind of similar arrangement on 4 or whatever it was. I mean, when you have things that are printed on a page like that, though, it makes it real. It makes it official. It's something that it just locks it into the customers. And it's such a key thing. All right, let me do this. I want to be careful so that I don't lose track of time on the most important things. Make the key things the key things, so to speak. Couple things on here, just a couple thoughts as we fly through this. There are things we sometimes do in their programs we consistently execute. There are things we sometimes do, and there's programs we consistently execute. Guys, as a manager, advanced training 2 is a thing I sometimes do. I'm just going to be honest. But my PR program is a program I consistently execute because without that, the fundamentals of my business can be rocked and negatively affected. When you think about the main programs, selling sets, upgrades, cookware, flatware, family program, business gifts, how many of these are programs that you are consistently executing? I am not the best multitasker in the world, which is funny for someone that does a lot of different jobs and has a lot of responsibilities. But I'm a big believer of just taking one particular program or area of my business and giving it a higher level of focus for a window of time. We overestimate what we can get done in a single show or a single weekend, but we underestimate what we could accomplish in 3 weeks. 3 months is what I meant to say. By just sort of giving myself epic permission to lean into family program all the way back in, honestly, it was 2020 when Curtis kind of brought it to us again, was like, no, you guys, really, you don't even know what this is. You don't even know what this could be. And I just realized that was the single area I felt like I could just get the most juice out of. So by getting a chance to lean into that, it made a huge difference. And so then even once I pivot away from it, I've established this new baseline of competency, and that just carries forward. It doesn't take so much time and mental energy. But I think this is an area where a lot of people, if you just put us on the spot and said, hey, what's your script? If you really don't have a good working knowledge that you feel comfortable and confident with, then you need to be able to self-assess and just be kind to yourself and say it's okay that you're still a work in progress, because the reality is we all are. And even then, once you get to a point where I think my new customer script is great, you watch Seth, you watch Bert, and you watch Curtis, and you watch these people in the field, and in every couple of years, they've almost reinvented it. Not conceptually, but they've just found better, more efficient, more impactful ways to share it. Hell, Curtis just teaching me to call the ultimate set the Carnivore Set. Are you kidding me? It's so easy. We live in Texas. That part helps, I suppose. But just framing it where it's literally the difference. What's the difference between the 2 big sets? This one is the Carnivore Set. It has the meat and barbecue knives. Do you guys ever grill by chance? Because if you'll really love the set. You probably need it. But if not, it might be overkill for you. Do you ever grill from time to time occasionally? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, oh God, then you probably need this set. Let me show it to you. And it's just such permission-based breadcrumbs that Curtis leaves, and it's astonishing and it's hilarious to watch. There's a finite amount of Cutco customers are ever going to buy for their home. There's a finite amount of Cutco, okay? And conceptually, as far as our mentality goes, we just have to understand this. If you do not get people onto gifts, even your Gold Star clients will eventually tap out, 100% of them. And I've seen it happen. It's happened to me. I had a customer come to the booth at the rodeo, and they didn't buy anything. And literally when they left, they told me they loved me. And I said, I love you too. Because I've known these people forever. I've been in their house. I've drank with. I've had drinks with them. Their kids were there, and I literally, as they're leaving, I stopped them and I said, "You guys don't even know how cool your parents are, how generous, how thoughtful, how kind they are, and I'm lucky I've gotten to do business with your family." And the dad just stops and he goes, "Man, I freaking love you." And I was like, "Dude, I love you too." And the wife's like, "I love Brian," and they didn't even buy anything, okay? But honestly, that's an example where that's a Gold Star client that they have adult children I've never sold family program to. And it's because I didn't do the work back in the day. I didn't even know to. So I'm going to get them back, but people are going to tap out. Getting people started on Cutco is gifts to it's just the key to extending the professional relationship you're going to have with your customers. And that's why, again, as a framing device, family program just makes so much sense. I shared this on the national call I did. So again, some of this is going to be review, but I want to go through this again, and then I want to hit a couple of kind of new takeaways that I've had from another year of really trying to execute this program. My 5 kind of big keys to this. Number 1 is better living through brochures. Guys, brochures make things real. If you don't have that out for your customers to experience it and feel it and hold it, then you're missing the boat. Seriously, go laminate your stuff. It looks professional. It's got quality graphic design work, and this isn't just a thing you're pitching as a salesperson. This is an opportunity that our customer has, or our company has rather, to serve our customers. That's what you want to think about it. So number 1, better living through brochures. Guys, number 2, if you don't offer it every time, you're bad at your job. Okay. It's all about consistency. If you are not consistently offering these different packages and programs every time, the reality is you just don't know. You just don't know. And anytime we're operating from a base of assumption with customers, it's so easy to over or underestimate where people are at. It's easy to waste time with a client that, no, legitimately, they only wanted a paring knife. And then we just know that they've got a nice bag and an expensive watch. So sure, you got to do your due diligence. There's opportunity there, but we're not always engaging with them. We need to be asking quality questions, both to prospect and to find opportunities. Guys, the other great thing about offering it every time, let's be patient. Let's have a big picture vision. I get the pleasure of working with Josh really closely during our state fair season. A lot of the nation doesn't realize how big a part of TGP Josh really is. We're really lucky to have him. But you know, boots on the ground is really the state fairs. And every year I watch Josh where he will do a quality cookware pitch to a quality client because he's asked the right prospecting questions. They've expressed enough interest. He's investing his time in a smart way, and he doesn't close it. But Josh has a follow-up strategy in place. And for him, this was not wasted time or wasted effort. These were seeds that were planted that will germinate in the future. And literally, we'll have people come to the booth the next year and they're like, hey, you know, we're here to buy our pots and pans this year. We've been thinking about it all year long. We almost called you at Christmas, but we didn't because we're dumb and we wanted to pay more. You know, and it's just, but it's amazing to see that. And so consistency is just the biggest key in sales. But one of the problems is we all have gotten so talented. And naturally, you have to have a certain personality type to be successful in sales, let's be honest. And we're just so good at kind of rolling with it that I think some of the just professional standards and benchmarks, it's easy to kind of like take those for granted and push them aside a little bit. But consistency is key. Guys, you got to know your introductory questions in your script. The good news is the introductory questions, there's 2 questions you ask. They're so easy. You ask them every single time and you will never get a negative response to them. People aren't always going to buy, but it's the easiest. There's no easier program to introduce than family program and the idea of multi-sets and just that concept. Last 2 things on here. Remember, family program is the ultimate emotional close. More than anything else we make, it's about painting a picture, which I think is one of the reasons why this plays to my strengths. I'm reasonable at selling business gifts at the booth. I'm not any of those guys that were on the panel before, but I sold $55,000 in business gifts last year, and it was all at the booth. And most of mine is honestly tying into a little bit of an emotional close. The family program, it's even easier. Okay. And then the last one is don't be afraid to make deals to make that order. Okay. You can't be afraid to make deals to actually get it. So let's jump in here. Here's the 2 questions. If you take one thing away from this talk, if this is the only thing you take away from this talk, good job. Honestly, let's make the most important things the most important things. Here's the 2 questions I love to ask every single customer, no matter what. Okay. Hey, Mrs. Jones, in a perfect world, who in your life would really benefit from having a set of Cutco? It's so simple. I ask it literally 100% of the time. Okay. Kids, in-laws, nieces, nephews. You'll have people who say, oh my God, my best friend, his knives suck. They're awesome. They're really cool. They cook. They love to cook for everything. When my mom was sick, like they took care of my family. They did all this. I had a guy tell me this, okay, back during one of my service events, and he just goes off just about his best friend and how he does. And I was like, wow, it seems like they really need a set of Cutco. And I go, look, I don't need to be presumptuous. I'm honestly just curious, but have you ever considered just thanking them by trying to kind of give them some epic gift or experience? I don't know if that's ever even crossed your mind. The only reason that I even thought about that is just the way you're talking about them with so much passion, and it just made me think about our family program. And the company has this awesome program where if you were to chain on like a set, even a small set for them along with your upgrade, it would unlock a way bigger discount for both your order, and it could allow you to do something really, really cool for them. I mean, since you're here anyway, can I take a second just to sort of show you what that looks like? Would that even be kind of interesting to you? And they're like, I mean, I've never thought about that, but yeah, that'd be kind of cool. I'm like, hey, give me a shot. Give me a shot. Let's have some fun. Let's see if I blow you away. And it's just, there's no downside to asking that question. Like, that's literally it. Doesn't always mean it's going to transition to an opportunity to present other options or family program, but you ask it every time. But my favorite question, the best question, is the second one. Hey, in a perfect world, how many sets of Cutco would you like to own? Okay, that is the easiest, like, that is the slam dunk question right there, because one of two things happens every single time. They do one of two things. They either do this, they either laugh, okay, oh gee, Brian, I think I'll get by with one $3,000 set of knives. And I'm like, fantastic, where's your credit card? Let's take care of that for you. Hey, aren't you glad you checked this off your to-do list forever? All right, and they just think you're joking. All right, they either laugh at you and they think you're joking, in which case they think you're funny, and laughter reduces tension, and that's a good thing. Okay, like good, you made a customer laugh, you made them happier. That's an awesome thing. But the other thing that happens, and it doesn't happen all the time, but it does happen, is they self-identify as someone that has multiple properties or multiple residences. I mean, game time, game time. Okay, I had a customer that I sold a cookware set to at the rodeo, and I'd already upgraded them to a complete set in the past. But I went in and asked that question again. I said, hey, in a perfect world, how many sets of Cutco do you think you'd like to own? And they said, well, you know, we just have our house, so you know, that's I can't imagine we would need more. Maybe we'll want forks and spoons one day, but you know, I just don't like the pattern or whatever their objection was. And then the guy just kind of makes the offhand remark. He goes, yeah, we can never put this in our Airbnb because people are just too hard on things there. Ding, ding, ding. I love the fact that these are people that don't look at themselves as someone that even owns multiple properties, even though they actually legitimately own multiple properties. And I just sort of started talking to him. I go, hey, you know, honestly, I totally get that. You know, obviously in your Airbnb, you want to be thoughtful. I said, but honestly, that's why so many people actually really love Cutco for their rental properties, because it's so damn durable. You know, and I told him, I said, I stayed at a Airbnb in Oklahoma, and I lost my voice when I was working a show, and I got home that night and I was tired and I was beat, and I got my throat cut and I got a lemon, and they had this like crappy little knife block, and we were on like this second floor thing, and it was me and Calvin Lopez, and I just needed to cut a lemon for my tea, and I was so damn frustrated because I couldn't cut the freaking lemon with the god dang crappy lemon of a knife. And I was like, and it was so frustrating because I'm like, I just need relief. I'm tired, I'm exhausted, and I'm just annoyed at the people that had this place, that they thought so little of the people booking it. They just couldn't give me something that would cut my damn lemon. I was objectively having an emotional experience of this. And I get it, that is such a specific scenario, but I'm a storyteller. Everything I do is through rapport. It's not made up. This is a thing that happened. Ask my team. I lose my voice at the Oklahoma State Fair, a tradition like no other. It's so stupid. I don't know why I do that every time. And no, I don't do it in Texas, and I don't do it at other Oklahoma. It's just the Oklahoma State Fair. And I shared that, and the lady just laughs, and she goes, oh my God, when you upgraded our set, we took our knives that we got as a wedding gift 30 years ago and put it in the Airbnb. She goes, I bet everyone hates cooking in our kitchen. And I was like, I mean, you would know better than me, but there's a reason you replaced yours with Cutco. And so instead, your drop down is a thing you generate profit from. You stuck it there. And the guy goes, wow. And so just by framing that, and y'all know what happened. It was a gallon. It wasn't a basic gallon. It wasn't a sexy order. Who cares? Who cares? It's all basic galleys all day. I don't freaking care. All right. But just by asking that question, that's what set the table. That's what set the stage. So I can tell y'all a million things I do, and I'll fly through this for the rest of the time I have. But those two questions are the biggest, most key things. Okay. If you want to know my scripts, by the way, I'll share this with everyone. I'm an open book. And honestly, most of this is just ripped off from Curtis and not done as well. All right, but here's my approach. Hey, Mrs. Jones, I bet you spent a lot of money on gifts over the years. If you were totally honest with yourself, do you really think they remember what you gave them for Christmas last year, or the year before, or the year before that? Probably not, probably not. And by the way, Mrs. Jones, don't be too hard on them, because if you're honest, do you even remember what you gave them 2 years ago? Because truly, I bet you probably don't. And it's not that they don't appreciate it, but it just all runs together after a while. That's why the family program is so different. It's so special, you know, because most people do spend more on this than a normal gift. I want to just prepare you, Mrs. Jones. This is going to probably cost more than a lot of what you normally do for them, but we have some good options. So don't let that scare you off, but it's something they'll use forever. You know, they'll think about you every time. They'll connect it to family and spending time together, and like those meals. And it's just this positive association with you. Mrs. Jones, no one ever forgets who gave them their Cutco. Nobody ever forgets. 100% of people remember who gave them their set of Cutco. And you know what's crazy is, you know, this happy customer list I have here, Mrs. Jones? Look on this one right here. They got their Cutco 7 years ago. And it's literally, I've got one. It's just this line item on a happy customer list. And it's like, Mom bought it for me, best gift ever. And I'll literally show them that. And I go, I have customers who come up all the time and talk about the sets of Cutco their parents bought for them or their grandparents bought for them. And it just becomes this really cool generational connection. And I think we all, I have no doubt that you spent a lot of money on them over the years. Wouldn't it be great to have something awesome to show for it? And plus, think about it this way, because, hey, Mrs. Jones, look, I know sometimes people are thinking to themselves, like, oh, I don't know if they'll appreciate it. By the way, they probably won't. They probably won't, but that's why mama knows best. Okay? Like, mama knows best. You know what they actually need. You can give them thumb crap that they're not going to remember a year from now, or you can give them something where at least when you go to their house, you have something great to use. How's that? Okay? And they just kind of laugh. And I go, because let's be honest, you're smarter than them anyway. They don't even know what they need. And then immediately I'm appealing to like their ego, and they're just like, yeah, that's right, stupid kids. Kids are so dumb. I'm like, they're so dumb. And they're like, right? And but you're connecting. It's just but it's an emotional close. That's really what it is. You're painting a picture for them of the experience of that. Hey, Mrs. Jones, since you're here anyway, can I at least show you what's possible? It may not be a good fit, but hell, we've been here this long. Can I take an extra just couple minutes and show you what would be possible with that? And guys, when you frame it like that, they get curious, and the answer is almost always, hey, show me what you got. Show me what you got. So as we kind of wrap up, here's my last two things I want to throw out. There are two, I think there's two main objections to family program. I think there's two things that hold people back from pulling the trigger and saying yes. Number one is the sense that people won't appreciate it. Okay, like that they're going to spend all this money and the gift won't be appreciated. Who wants to spend that amount of money and not get credit for it? Okay, like, well, you need points, not like credit card points. You need those too, like metaphorical relationship points. You got to have freaking points. All right, like I bought my wife a Hermes bracelet because Calvin Lopez and Matt Foss and Steven and me were in the Hermes store. And why the hell not? Right? And I got a Louis Vuitton wallet and all this stuff because she deserves it. But honestly, I don't mind spending it. I'll spend that for her, no problem. But I'm not going to do it if she's not going to like appreciate it and like it and think it's cool or think it's useful. So the first objection for why people don't do it is they're concerned that the recipient will not appreciate it. Okay, the second reason is just price. Okay, and when is the best time to handle objections? It's in advance. Guys, you need to handle these concerns before they become objections, and we need to be mature enough as sales professionals, as the Hall of Famers that every one of us are. We need to be mature enough to understand that we're trying to speak to their silent voice. We are trying to speak to that part of them that may not like vocalize or verbalize that concern or objection they have. It's our job to suss that out, or to just acknowledge the fact that that's so common that we just need to answer that as a part of our scripts and approaches. Guys, for the price, the reality is you need to price position Cutco against itself. Okay. I had one of my customers, Randy, a good client up in Oklahoma. I sold him an upgrade at the state fair this last year. I introduced family program. He mentioned his daughter. He's like, oh, my daughter's getting married. Probably at some point I'll do this for her. Oh my God, Randy, I did all the stuff I just shared with y'all. And we went over it and I closed him on the set. And he goes, oh man, and now of course my younger daughter, I'm going to hear about it from her. And I was like, well, Randy, you're going to do it for her anyway. It just makes sense. Let me bundle these together and get a better deal. And he goes, Brian, my younger daughter is 14. Okay. Pause. By the way, I am unfazed. Okay. To me, the game is afoot. All right. Randy's going to buy 2 homemakers on top of his upgrade. Randy just doesn't know it yet. And I go, hey, Randy, I totally get it. The good news is I have been here 19 years. I'm not going anywhere. I'll be happy to sell you that set 10 years from now. And he just laughs and he goes, I bet you will. And I go, but Randy, I got to ask you a question. What do you think that set cost 10 years ago? And he kind of goes, oh, shit. Pardon my language, Alvin. That's what he said. That's just a quote. And I go, Randy, what do you think that set's going to cost 10 years from now? Because I have a few guesses. And he just goes, oh, you're killing me, Brian. And I go, plus on top of that, you won't get the extra discount that you're getting for family program. I go, so I'm happy to just make more off you later. I'm patient. I can wait. It's not a problem for me. I go, but come on, dude, you're here. Give me a shot. Let me at least show you what a breakdown. I'm not trying to kill the budget. I'm really not. But give me a shot, Randy. Let me see if it's something you feel comfortable with. Because look, you've had boxes in your garage longer than 10 years. I guarantee you that. And he just starts laughing. He goes, yeah, you're right. And I go, can I just show you? Just so at least you know your options. Is that cool with you? And he's like, yeah, you can show me. And of course he bought it. Okay. So guys, again, it doesn't always work that cleanly. I get it, but you just need to understand the price, like the price is one part of it. The other part is the appreciation. And that's where you just need to appeal a little bit to the look, mama knows best. The reality is the value for Cutco is going to make itself evident and apparent through just the use of it. And then the other thing is people undersell themselves, where they will literally say, oh, my lake house, we'll take our old stuff there, it's good enough. You need to get back to that emotional experience with your customer. Just like you'll hear top people like Luke Mills, you'll hear, just Kelly, you'll hear people like that. And they're always painting a picture like, man, imagine every day we're using the knives, having it cut so great. Imagine never having the frustration. Imagine never cutting yourself cleaning a knife. Like, they're always painting a picture. You got to be willing to do that for your customer too, because all they're doing is just cutting corners on themselves. house. Okay. And so just, hey, Mr. Jones, I hate that your lake house where you go to connect and be with family and have all this. I hate that that's where you have the crappy stuff. I hate that for you, Mrs. Jones. That honestly just makes me sad. I'm excited we got your house done. And look, you don't have to buy a set of Petco for the lake house. And you certainly don't have to today. But gosh, with this family program, I can make you such a slam and deal. Man, can I just take a shot and at least show you what's possible? Would that be cool with you if I at least let you know your options? It's just that transition to the introductory things. Guys, last point is this, and I'm out of time. You can't be afraid to make deals. I am absolutely a value seller. But I think that some of us have mistaken value selling for having a position where we never strategically use price selling to close deals. And I think that's short-sighted, and I think that's foolish. If I were to buy $3,000, like we went and bought a new sectional, I spent $3,000. I would expect a better deal if I bought 2 of those. And that just makes sense. Like if my salesperson, if I was like, hey, look, theoretically, if I bought 6,000 instead of 3,000, what would you do for me? And if his answer was, I don't know, the same thing, basically, or I would take 2% off, I'd be like, get out of here, man. What are you talking about? Okay. I'll go find someone who actually wants my business more. So when I sold that Ultimate with the 3 homemakers, the Ultimate was just 2 gadgets. That was it. The homemakers I discount. Okay. Because you should assume that every customer you ever have that buys a multi-set order at some point is going to go to Petco.com. They're going to look at the prices on there. And I just need you to ask yourself, how are they going to feel about the way you position the deal? Is what you're sharing with them congruent with the experience they're going to have? And for me, if I need to take, I don't know, $80 a pop off each galley set to close 5 of them, I'm going to do that because the lady I did that for came back to me this year and bought 30 gadgets at full price because now she's just in that family program mindset. I transitioned her from being a traditional client to a gift giving client, and that's what we want. And I'm out of time. So thanks so much for letting me talk to y'all. I'm so lucky to get a chance to be part of this community. I'm so grateful to each and every one of you.